All right. So my name is Dark Armist, and we are here for a StarTropics 1 race between ZeroCounts and Mines. I'm going to be in for a good race here this early Saturday morning. Just about to start up. So everything that you'll notice right from the beginning is actually that our timers are normally set to negative 9.1 seconds. That negative 9.1 seconds is the amount of time it takes for Mike to gain control of Mike. So we do run that as soon as we can. We're just waiting for that to begin down, and then they'll select their characters and we'll be good to go. So a couple things about the start of this game is in StarTropics we move in a grid-based pattern, and so we move in that grid-based pattern. That means Mike can only move in a grid, so everything is gridded off, and that is how it is in this game, which can create a very sliding feature. And it's very important because of some of the mechanics in this game. So we're going to be running into our first town here, and in the towns, you have to actually talk to certain villagers, not all of them, just certain ones, to progress through the story. So we're really hoping here for the villagers to move in appropriate ways to make it as fast as possible. They can kind of trick you and run away from you, and sometimes also known for coming up here in the future is the red dress girl coming up, and she can actually hold you into a door if you get really unlucky, and you can just lose an unknown period amount of time strictly just to that. So then you got to come all the way up, and you talk to this guy, and he talks pretty much about just going up into the stars and seeing a shooting star. There's the red dress girl just below where Zero just talked to. And then we go and we move on towards the first dungeon. So no one got stuck by the red dress girl. That's a overall benefit in my books. Chapter 1 has some of the what seems like the easiest dungeons in the game, but actually have some of the most like down-packed movement in all of our runs. They're right down to it to almost being perfect. So we're going to watch ZeroCounts go through here, and he's going to be moving on that grid-based pattern as fast as he can. And you can see that in midair he can turn, swing the yo-yo, and turn again to swing right away. What we have in StarTropics is actually called what we call the buffering system. Is where if you press the yo-yo button, the A or B button, and then you immediately press and hold it again, it will queue that action up for again later, immediately frame perfect every time. So you're going to see that happen a lot in this. Buffering is probably the main technique in StarTropics. So like on that rat, that was what we would consider a buffer that ZeroCounts did. We'll see it again here on Mines. He'll buffer through. And so it instantly gets that yo-yo out as fast as possible. We buffer on all of these jumps normally over here on all these platforms because it just makes it easier to go as fast as possible. The room in here with the two slimes or slugs and the rats, we jump forward, we kill the slimes because that gives us enough time to run back down and deal with the rats in a particular manner to get there as fast as possible. The room that Zero's in right now is like the first real room of, that they try to tell you that you can go the wrong way and you can be punished with it. So it's kind of like a secret exit that's the right exit. We get our first sub-weapon here. The sub-weapon is the torch. It's a short-range fireball that does just over, it does 2 damage instead of the one that the yo-yo does. It is only used here. That's it. It's a little bit slower, so we only use it if we need to one-shot things. Mines had to clear that whole room because the bats got in his way. And so Zero's out here clearing everything in this room with the torch and making lickety split. And here's the first boss, the Sea Serpent. The Sea Serpent can do a couple things here. He can do exactly what he did on ZeroCounts stream, where he shoots fireballs. We take damage from it, so that way we can go ahead and damage boost through him and not have to fight him at all. And so Mines is on the Sea Serpent. We'll see how he gets. So we got he got a fireball also, so we got right away through. At the end of each dungeon, you get your points all tallied up, which can do a little bit of time. That's it can vary between player to player, depending on how many units you actually killed. Killing units in this game actually lowers your points, so it can actually save time. But not enough time that killing units is actually effective. It's so minuscule that, like, it's not worth it. So now we're gonna get our first real companion of the game. In the completion of Chapter 1, we're gonna get our robot friend here with the sub-C. So now we gotta take our submarine, and we gotta move forward, trying to find our uncle, who was abducted by aliens, we think. Chapter 2, The Dolphins. So on our adventure to find our uncle, we get stopped by dolphins. So the dolphin has lost her son and asked us to help her find her son. Very minimal time saves as, up through here is if you hold the A button as you go into the secret passages, sometimes they can get you through faster. So we go into this house and talk to this lady. This lady is the husband of, or the wife of the person who works in the lighthouse. We didn't talk to the person in the lighthouse, we just knew to come here. And that spawns the bottle here that will tell us more about the submarine and our uncle. And our uncle sent a note in a bottle that says he's been captured by aliens. So at this point, we're running back. You'll notice on the map, you may see a big heart container on each of their screens at some points going through here. Those big hearts would give you 1 extra life point going into any of the areas, so it increases your max HP by 1. The nicest thing that StarTropics ever did was it gives you any heart pieces, like heart containers you might have missed when you complete the chapters. So we actually lose out on no HP if once we complete it, and we don't have to take the time loss of watching it fill up your hearts to max if you don't need it. So here's a big issuance of buffering on like the little sea lizards that come out, the little lizards that come out. Is we hit once and already have the yo-yo button hit again, and it instantly sends it out as soon as it can. Sometimes in some rooms they have certain puzzles that need to happen to open up the doors. Some of them need a specific enemy killed, or some of them need all of them. And ZeroCounts in this room did a jump turn at the start of the room to take up enough time to make sure he would hit the right cycle to be able to jump consecutively through this room. It sets up to where he doesn't have to like wait at all. So normally in this the room with the snakes here, we would take a damage boost here, but because of these hearts, we are able to do that and just not have to worry about killing him. We see Mines. He's also waiting for the platforms. Without the setup, you kind of just have to just wait for it to be the timing that you need. Mines is probably going to go through and kill both the snakes. Yep, so we're going to kill both the snakes just to be safer on HP. And then he's going to move through and do the exact same things. So ZeroCounts in that room just did a jump over the water, jump up, and turn to put him at the exact time that he would need for that bat to show up so he can hit it without having to move and chase after it, because it can be kind of a pain to chase after some of these enemies, especially the ones that move diagonal, since we're on that grid system. So Mines just made it through the Octot room. ZeroCounts had a pretty good Octot pattern there that they didn't try to run away from him. They can run away pretty hard from you right there. So we're on Octot the Huge. Octot the Huge shoots all his little ink balls at you while he's up top, and we're waiting for him to come down. And once he comes down, we're going to watch ZeroCounts use the snowman to freeze him. And then he's going to use the buffering system here primarily to hit as many times as he can. And he's going to get the 1 cycle. So the 1 cycle there is just using one snowman. It is possible to do it without the snowman, but that is pretty much a task-only strategy, and I would not recommend it. So now we have Mines. He's on Octop the Huge, so we gotta watch Mines go through and do the same thing. So once we defeat Octop the Huge, that pretty much spells the end of Chapter 2. So we go back to our submarine. The submarine, and then we're going to be talking to... So, in Mind Screen, we just watched him use both. If you're not down to the precise buffering system, you will need to use 2, because it's actually pretty tight. And the worst thing that can happen pretty much is Octop the Huge to go back up to the top of the screen, and then he just sits up there and shoots at you and doesn't come back down for, again, an unknown period amount of time. He can just choose. So the dolphins taught you how to dive through the rocks, as shown on ZeroCounts screen, so that way he can make it out of the rocks safely. So now we're on Chapter 3. Chapter 3 is probably the first real gate of the run. I know as a runner of this myself, Chapter 3 is probably where I have the hardest time continuing on a run. It really sets the pace for your run, I feel like. If you're having a good Chapter 3, you're feeling good going into the rest of the game. So it keeps your confidence up. Chapter 3 has a tendency to steal confidence from runners and early game players of this. So the goal in Chapter 3, we broke our submarine by running into rocks, apparently, in the storm. So now our submarine doesn't work, and so we're on the beach trying to find out if we can get it repaired. So these dodos have a particular way that they work. They can see you, and then once they see you, they run after you. They can see you from the sides, and then they will chase after you. So from the front, they'll chase you, and if they can see you from the peripherals, they'll also chase you. ZeroCounts enters the notorious monkey room. These monkeys can move in a random pattern in any 4 of the directions and run away from you, run towards you, or just jump around. So a good monkey room definitely feels good. Tips for these are normally focusing on one monkey around you and getting it, and then moving on. So ZeroCounts had a particularly decent monkey rooms there. The dodos are being mean to Mines here a little bit, just running into them. They're pretty fast, so it can be pretty tough to get it. So we watched ZeroCounts. The first thing that he did there was he went into the room, and he threw his bolas across the room while he slid into a tile on a half tile to be able to throw it and still hit that dodo while still progressing through the stage. The bolas only deal 1 damage, so it's like a yo-yo, but ranged, that can go across. You can only have 2 projectiles out at one time. So the bolas can only throw 2 out at a time. So that's why you want to have those out going at the same time, almost, so that way they both hit the monkey, not the monkeys, but the dodos. So now we're into Chapter 3's town, where we have to talk to particular villagers again. So we're going to watch ZeroCounts be doing that, and we're watching Mines, and he's just now entering the Bola Snake Room. Bola Snake Room is pretty cool, so you gotta kill the snake here, jump, kill that snake, and that was actually a really good set of buffering masses from Mines, that he actually killed both the snakes with the yo-yo. Normally you would kill one snake with the yo-yo, the other one would go under you, you'd switch to the bolas for a quick bola movement. So a good way to fight these boneheads that Mines is doing, and he's got almost trapped, he got away from them, is you kite them around the water because it takes them a long time to jump, so you can get some free hits on them. So ZeroCounts is just going through the town, and he's going to talk to the chief, who's the daughter, has been put to sleep. She hasn't woken up. For helping his daughter Banana Net. So at this point, Zero now has to go talk and see Banana Net to progress through it. And so you would have seen inside of the chief's room, there is a door up here that doesn't look like it's very visible from up here. And then it takes you in to go see Banana Net. Surprisingly enough, you don't have to talk to her mom. You just have to talk to her and figure out that she's actually sleeping. And so we see Mines also going through the same process right now. And Mines is actually going to take the coconut milk to heal. It's actually a decent strategy to make sure you're fully topped off for the next dungeons. As Zero is now moving on to Dungeon 3-2. So each of these snakes, you can jump over them as they come through, or you can sometimes get in between two of them, and it will go through both. That bonehead got away from Zero right there a little bit. One of our first dark rooms where you have to really use the enemy location to kind of understand where you can go. And so that really shows us exactly where to go. And we'll see more dark rooms later on going through the game. Zero making it through pretty well with those flies. So what you'll see right there is ZeroCounts actually just swing his bat right when he got in, and that bat lasts long enough on the animation to set up the precise timing to jump across to be able to get those hearts and make it through that room. That sign is cursed, that if you touch that sign, it can either give you 1 life, 2 life, or take away a life. And it takes a little bit of time. So at this point, we're going to be looking at killing the flies, and they worked pretty well for their Zero. Sometimes they can fly all over the place and take all the time in the world from you. So in your first playthrough of this game, you're going to notice that you're going to be jumping all over the place, trying to find switches and seeing everything. But this room right here is actually particularly mean. You'd go for those hearts and you think that you'd keep going, and as soon as you transition to this screen from the left-hand side, it kills you. So it's your first pit, one of your first death pits. So Zero's about to enter the boss room and jump and buffer the bat, so that way he has precise timing here. So you're going to notice that Zero is going, and everything seems to be lining up pretty much just perfectly for him to make it through this area as least damage as possible. So he leaves with the 2 HP. And that always works good. So we're going to see Mines. Mines is going down from the Dark Octa room with the Dark Snakes. And he's actually going to pick up a medicine. So that medicine can heal you for, I think it's 8 hearts? 8 hearts, I believe. So it's going to be a full heal at this point for Mines, just in case he needs it. So we could see Mines be using that here soon, or he's going to try to make it through the fly gas without doing that, which he did. So he's also, Mines is going to take up over here, and he's going to pick up these hearts, and then jump back over, and he's going to make it through. So Zero is on his way to the graveyard, and in a sense, going to the graveyard first and knowing exactly what to do is kind of like a weird system where you're metagaming in D&D, where you know something that your character shouldn't, so being able to go do that. And as we're seeing here, the flies are actually not being the politest to Mines here, going in all sorts of diagonal directions, avoiding him at all costs, and hitting him even a couple times. So these bone dogs work a lot like the dodos from earlier, where they will chase Mike, but at a much faster speed. So once they see Mike, they kind of lock onto him. And Chapter 3 is... The graveyard in Chapter 3 is probably one of the areas where people get stuck at the most, because it has a ton of false exits. The first area that has false exits, like if you would have went up where the skulls were bouncing around, that's the first false exit. It just takes you out of the dungeon and you have to restart the whole thing. get pretty rough. The first really big tough enemy, and we'll see mostly used for buffering, is these mummies. And so Zero's going to ignore this chest, and I promise you in this room, there are ghosts, and you'll see some movement out of him. You'll see that he looked left or right and then back forward very quickly, and then he jumped in place. It's to set up the precise timings to show you that there are no ghosts in this room, but there actually are. Moving through to a secret exit, we're going to see him avoid a ghost here by jumping right here and then moving down. And we see Mines. Mines just got through our hot water heater here, Magmus. And then he's moving on going towards the graveyard himself. Push in here, and we get to go through. And we're at like our first real checkpoint. This is the checkpoint of this dungeon. So if for some reason Zero dies, he'll end up right back here. And we're gonna enter a pure dark room here. So you can jump on that and hit down, and you can take a path down and fight some mummies and get a lantern. And what the lantern does is it would light up this whole room for you. But ZeroCounts knows the pattern here, and he has the sound cues that he's just gonna walk through the room dark. And so he made it through pretty unharmed and enters the hands room. Ooh, that hand was mean. And it was so he got hit by one of those hands. And then the hand spawned on the other side, so he ran to the door to force the hand to spawn as close as possible. And then you just run straight up from these mummies. And what happens with that is, it makes it sound like you need to fight a boss, but there's actually no boss. Zero looks like he's being a bit safe here since he's floating on that one heart. Mines actually chooses to jump over one of the dogs very skillfully and kill them both. That was a good dog kills right there. So we got our first wand, which was what we would have gotten if we would have killed those mummies in the room that he avoided the chest. And it allows you to see the spooky ghosts. And so as we can see here, the ghosts are real. And we're going to watch Mines. He's going to avoid the ghost in this room. And right here is if you do not loot this item right here, the mirror, and you walk into this room, like every runner has ever done this, you can't actually kill these wizards. These wizards are only killable by their own projectile. And then one thing that I can mention here is on those wizards, and Mines is out here fighting the mummies right now. On those wizards, they only will spawn if there are no items on the ground. So if one drops an item, you actually need to pick it up as fast as possible to spawn them. So ZeroCounts is actually set up this mummy room that you only need to kill some of the mummies. Those two that are alive don't need to die. So he walked in a certain pattern that made it so that way he would have those mummies not see him and chase him and not make the famous mummy conga line. ZeroCounts killing off some more of the wizards and the skulls to open up a room to what looks like 4 cannons. He's gonna run and throw a bola, and then spawn Maxie, the big ghost. Maxie can kind of do as she pleases, or he pleases. And now, after losing some HP, they turn and they start running really fast, but he got a really good Maxie pattern. So that was really good Maxie for Zero. This is one of those rooms where they decided to put a switch as far away from the other switch as possible to make it so that way you had to run. And you have to hit this switch 3 times, and you're gonna drain the lake. So we have Mines actually going through the dark room without the lantern. Listening, he's listening to when each one of the platforms is going up and down right now, so that way he can make it through safely. And he made it through. Really good dark room for him. So we got the hands for him. And he actually got hands that behaved. They spawned really close to each other for our fast hands. And ZeroCounts just picked up the crystal ball. Normally you would know what the crystal ball is for, but since we're metagaming a little bit here and go to pick it up beforehand, we have it for no reason. Mines is going through the mummy room here, playing it safe, because the mummies can't jump over water like the boneheads. So Zero is now in where we call Shikola, and he's going around the backside to then talk to the fortune teller, who would have then told us that she had lost her crystal ball. But we have it, so here you go. You can have this. We found it in a lake. And then the fortune teller's like, well, I'll get you into Shikola. The only way to get into Shikola is to be a female, so we dress up as a female at this point to get into Shikola, where we will get some pretty important information here. So the first thing we do is we're going to go talk to the leader of Shikola, and she is going to give us our upgrade for our yo-yo. And we get the name just evaded me. I wanted to say the shooting star, but that is the last upgrade. So we are going to get the upgrade. Oh no, it is the shooting star. I am correct. It's the supernova. That's the last one. So we did get the shooting star. The shooting star actually gives our yo-yo a little bit more range when you're at 6 hearts or more, and does more damage. So we'll be using that because it does 2 points of damage now. So we see mines in the mummy room, and the mummies have become a conga line. And with that conga line, each one takes a separate hit when you go. So it gets pretty tough to actually kill them, because the mummies take 6 or 8 hits at that point to kill. And so you're having to hit each of them a different time. So they're kind of going through and being on their own there. So you're hitting one, you'd hit once, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2 at that point. So it takes a long time, and they can kind of run you over at that point if you're not paying attention. So in Shikola, ZeroCounts talked to the head warrior and got a password for this button where you have to hit it 10 times, and you see Alakazam, or Abracadabra. And then we go through, and now we're moving through. So now we're going to see the power of the shooting star. And it's going to kill these Octots from range, which is very helpful. These Octots actually aren't necessary, so ZeroCounts is going to skip them. And we see Mines in the wizard room killing the skulls, and heading towards Maxi himself. So this room right here is going to have particular movement from ZeroCounts. He's going to spawn everything, and with buffering he's going to kill all of them, except for the Octots that decided to run away from him. So Mines is out here fighting Maxi right now. Actually having a pretty good pattern from Maxi. Maxi was behaving and just kind of standing still for a little while. And Mines had a good Maxi fight there. That was really good. So ZeroCounts is now moving on to probably the most life-intensive. Like, if you do not have 6 hearts coming into this dungeon for the shooting star, this dungeon can be a pain in your butt. So you go in and you take a right there, and you kill the first snake on your right, and that opens the door. One of those puzzles I was talking about earlier, where only some enemies need to die to open. So before we fought boneheads, and they were kind of a pain, but with the shooting star, only 3 hits. Much easier to deal with. These white platforms fall as soon as you jump on them, so you actually have to think fast on these. Probably most people's first time playing this, they fell through and didn't realize what was going on. So ZeroCounts moving on, and Mines just meeking it out and getting that crystal ball himself, so he'll be heading to Shikola. The red tiles work the same as the white tiles, it's just the lighting in the room here for the lava. So these are the frappas coming out of the water. Most of us like to call them kappas, but they are called frappas, and they do jump around at you. There will be some times where they are necessary to kill. So coming up here is where we're going to be seeing that. The puzzle there. We jump through. And something in this game, in StarTropics, is actually running down on this tile increases the likelihood of the frappas for coming out of the lava. So you'll see ZeroCounts, he was running down. It increases the RNG chance that they actually come out. Those eyeball monsters, you just have to kill the second one, that one going up, and then it will come. Once you hit those eyeballs, they actually run at you at very fast speeds, and early runners and new players by this will get hit by those things all the time. They can be a jerk, especially if you don't have the shooting star. Here's our first bully. Our bully looks like he is going to behave and not chase Mike and hug the switch. So that bully was a good pattern there. And we have our eye. ZeroCounts takes it out to open up the door, and we have to kill our first bullies here. So he gets really close, and every time he hits, you can see that the bully kind of froze a little bit. So that was very helpful to get the buffering down to hit the bully enough times to kill it. So we'll do the same thing here. He slides across the tile, going from one to the other on the grid system, and moves up and starts buffering his yo-yo movements. And that's actually going to be the end of Chapter 3 for ZeroCounts. A nice waterfall at about 2 minutes and 25 seconds, or 29 minutes and 29 seconds. That's a really good Chapter 3 time, I think, out of ZeroCounts here. So we actually got a scroll that should wake up Banana Net back in town. So we're gonna run, hurry, hurry, run, and hurry, hurry. And then we have mines opening up the bridge here. So we gotta read the scroll where it just tells us to be bob, 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 bob. A whole bunch. And this is how we break what I want to say is a curse on Banana Net. And when she wakes up, the first thing she wants is dessert. So mine's making it through the Octop room, and now making it going forward even further here. He's going to enter the room where you can use the particular movement to get it the fastest, but it is always safer to just play it safe and not have to do that. So each tile when you step on will spawn one of the lizards out, and they'll chase you down, which is why you'd move up and then down and then go down again, and you'd have that range to be able to kill all of them in a timely manner. So Zero here has moved on to Chapter 4. And Chapter 4 is the most exciting chapter of all of them. So we'll find out how exciting that is here soon. And we're saying, you know, one of our friends has went on a raft and left. Mine says moving on to the final dungeon in Chapter 3. Moving through the skull room at a good pace. Now onto the boneheads. So now we got eaten by a whale in ZeroCounts side. So we find our good friend here. It's Babu. Babu's just chilling here. He's like, I got eaten by this whale, and we should try to make him sneeze. So I had a lighter, but I lost it. So now we have to go find a lighter and a whale. And so this is just a dungeon. Okay. So this is a dungeon that is a maze for the overworld only. There is actually no dungeon where you play as Mike in this. So I do like to consider this the Chapter 4 dungeon. Is moving through this maze, and I can tell you from personal experience, I get lost in here 1 out of 5 times that I run this game still for some reason. Ooh. We got the Muddy here being kind of mean to Mines here, kind of avoiding him at all costs. Gonna pick up some hearts here. So that is a time watch. It freezes, so that way you can get back there. And Zero's making his way through this overworld, nice and task-like, as fast as you can go. And then we found a giant lighter. It's huge. It's as big as Mike. I don't know how Babu lost that, to be completely honest. And then we have to make our way back to Babu. Ooh. So he killed all the eyes on this room in Mine's screen. So he missed the right one. But in the end, took no damage. So that's really important there, to not lose that shooting star. And so we're gonna burn Babu's raft though on ZeroCounts to make him sneeze. So we're smoking ourselves out here on top of making the whale sneeze. So then the whale magically spits us out on an island, luckily. And then Babu is like, I'm just not going to smoke ever again. Good choice, Babu. We appreciate that. And then we actually have our anti-piracy code here from StarTropics. Ooh, and Mines get hit by one of the evil eyes there, and it takes away his shooting star. So this next bully is actually going to be a really toughie. Takes very many hits, and he's gonna avoid them. So the thing about the bullies that you're seeing on Mines' screen is they're actually wide. So on certain points of the screen, when they're walking towards you, their hitbox is further because they take up more tiles, going longwise than going up and down. They're more likely to hit you that way. So ZeroCounts now making a particular movement in the sub-C to go, and actually we're gonna once again meta game here, knowing that we have to come here, and a 34-45 out of Mines on the waterfall, also a very good time. So we're gonna come here and meta game a little bit and get a worm. We need that worm, and it's easier to come get it now than having to go into the town, then come back for the worm, and then we'll use the worm. We just have the worm already. Upside to Chapter 5 is every time you get in there, our little robot buddy, he's got to talk to us for some reason. So Mines is now exiting Chapter 3, and he'll be moving on to our favorite Chapter 4 dungeon of the whale. ZeroCounts is now making it into town, where the villagers can be rude to you if they really want to again. So let's see if we get some good villager pattern. So we're learning about a Captain Bell, and he stuck his boat in the middle of the passageway so that way no one can make it out or in. And our submarine apparently can't go under it. It's a little sad, so we have to try to see if anyone knows if we can move the boat. So we had to talk to pretty much every single person on this island here in this village. And so we talked to this village keeper, and he's like, I'm the chief, and I have a secret. Do you promise not to tell anyone my secret? And we're like, yes. Yeah, we'll keep your secret. And he's like, oh, then I'll just tell you my secret. So we got a secret without really trying. And listening to that secret, he tells us about a parrot. And here's Petey the parrot. Look at him. The old Peter parrot. And we have a worm! So we give Peter the parrot, and he tells us a secret passcode. Now, if you're not musically adept in this game, like I'm not very at this point, you had no idea why the Peter was saying do mi fa su. I don't know exactly. I don't remember the exact one. Do re mi fa so la. And he says it in a particular pattern, and we actually have to use that pattern here later on a puzzle coming up. So ZeroCounts is deciding not to go and get another worm just to have it, though. So in this time, if you get the worm early, you can actually come back when you come here if you forget, which a lot of runners have done before. If not all of them have gotten a second worm, which is just a small little time loss. So out here, we have ZeroCounts pressing the piano and the exact pattern that our bird told us to do. And we get a nice victory tune when you get it done. And it stops the fire, so you can move on. Let's go. Mine's making his way through Chapter 4, almost to the body size lighter. F's in the chat for the F room here. Goodbye, F room. You will be missed. ZeroCounts on Chapter 5's dungeon here. To do this dungeon quickly is very precise and scary. So we're going to be paying attention here. So ZeroCounts quickly does a turn over at the start and quickly buffers onto that bat to open the door. That one bat is the only way to open that door, so if he gets kind of going and lost, he's gone forever, and you have to kill every bat pretty much at that point to get going. So the bridge is breaking behind us, and ZeroCounts is going to pick up some hearts to have the shooting star. And all the traps from all the pirates and the captain to save his ship here, trying to get us good, but to no avail. We jump over all of the spears because they're a little slow. So here we have another puzzle, but knowing where to go, we're just like, yeah, we're gonna go stop. We're gonna go straight up to the top, and we're gonna fall down this hole. And the pencils are gonna chase us. Go up here, and actually turning up like that, straight from the stairs going up can actually have Mike's direction in the correct way, right when he comes up. And killing the bat again opens the pathway. So Mines is now exiting Chapter 4 into Chapter 5. And oh no, the room is collapsing again. But luckily it's not too quick, so we can get over there to find the right button to make it through. Alright, so now we have the first scary moments here in the bowling balls. And ZeroCounts missed hitting the bowling ball. But the bowling ball is not hitting him, and that's the most important part. Wait here. If the bowling balls touch you, instant death. We call it kissing the bowling ball. But the blue one, fortunately, is not the scary one. Oh, so we got some scary ghost pirates here that just appeared. We don't really care about them. And this room has a particular movement to get through this room without taking any damage, as we saw by ZeroCounts. ZeroCounts particularly going through that room very, very well, setting up the snakes to just line up really well. And our favorite dodos are back, but with the power of the shooting star, we make quick work of them now. So here's the green bowling ball. This room has a particular setup. You'll see Zero do a jump there, jump, turn, throw the mirror, run over, and now he's going to have the exact frames that he needs that the bowling ball will be away, so he can just keep moving. That trick is actually very difficult, and if you mess it up, it loses you a bunch of time. So a lot of people actually don't go for it because it's very scary, and those bats actually behaved very well. This room is one of the rooms so that if you kill the bullies, it's going to open the right side of the room, and you're going to go around in a big circle all the time. But you need the wand to be able to make it through there, and see the ghost to go out the left side. Very sneaky. Takes a long time to find that, I feel like. ZeroCounts jumping over the pencil. Avoids the hearts because there's hearts in here. Throws his yo-yo. ZeroCounts threw his yo-yo there to make sure that he was on a specific timing to not have to stop for the spears and the sinking platform. So here's the red bowling ball. The red bowling ball is the scariest. It stays on the screen with you no matter where you're at. And hitting, you have to hit it to stop it. And each consecutive hit will stop it for a little bit longer. Zero executed the red bowling ball room very nicely. No kissing of the red bowling ball. Nice. So every enemy in here has to die. And once again, just like the wizards, they are only able to die by reflecting their own blast at them. And that, my friends, if we can get ready in chat to salute, give us the 07, and we're going to be saluting here as the boat goes down. So it looks like Mines went to go get the fresh worm after going to the village and then going back to PD, which is where you could see there would be a little bit of time save going for the worm first. Very nice here. We'll have one more of those here soon, too. So don't put away your salutes quite yet. Get them ready once again for Mines when we get there. We may not be able to hear the tunes, but in our heart we will salute. So ZeroCounts now moving on to Chapter 6. Reunion. Foreshadowing. So, in Chapter 6, we have a lot of subsea movement here. And our robot friend will interrupt us at some points, being like, hey, we sense where Dr. Jones is. We sense where Dr. Jones is. He's getting closer. So we're going to try to avoid that as much as possible. And mine's making it through the piano. So he's going to be moving on to his dungeon here in a second. So we're taking the path that gets us to have the least amount of talking as we can possibly get here. Moving forward. So we have mines picking up the heart. I also pick up the heart a lot of the times going into here because it's nice to have that HP going in to the final dungeon to make sure you have that shooting star. And F's in the chat again for the F room. So mine's got that bat kill. Very good. So the one thing that happens here is if you take the heart... Oh, and mine's accidentally jumped into the void! So what's going to happen here is he got that heart, and now he's going to need to go ahead and he's going to need to pick up both sets of hearts in the vanishing room. Tragic. He was looking over towards the right way and then tried to think that he had already jumped down, so he turned and jumped off of the ledge. That's part of the grid-based movement. It can kind of get you sometimes. Oh no, and mine's going a little bit too slow there and gets all of the bridge collapsed. So he's down again for that. So back to kill the bat, and we're going to try again. This is where the buffering comes in handy here. So you need to be buffering each one of these jumps, so that way they're already going by the time you land, pretty much. ZeroCount's going to be picking up both sets of hearts to get his shooting star. And then we're in the infamous mummy room. This mummies, there's two different colored mummies. Lo and behold, one of the colored mummies needs to be killed, while the other one does not, to open up the path. But those mummies can be very rude, especially that first mummy being killed. Coming into this room, we're going to see some Octots here, and ZeroCounts is going to do a particular movement where he's going to jump on that Octot to put him on a special frame because of this Octot right here. And he missed! He missed the frame! So going through, it puts you at a higher chance to get that the right frame to throw the shooting star, because damage is only calculated on the second frame. So that way it would be, it would hit him and not avoid him. But now ZeroCounts is still on the right track here to kill these mummies with his fast buffering. If you notice, every time he hits, the mummies slow down, so it lets him play it pretty aggressive. Now we're on to a mini boss here, or a boss here. Boss. There's a couple strategies here. So ZeroCounts waiting for Boss to come down, and he's going to give him the old one cycle there, coming down with the shooting star, and just hitting him with as much buffering as possible. And then he picks up the wing shoe so he can jump 2 tiles just like in the last room. Another strategy in that room is actually to spawn the wing shoes, and once you kill Boss, picking up in the middle of his death animation lowers some of the animation and sound of picking up the wing boots. So it's one strategy there that you can do. So we come up to a really interesting puzzle here, where there's 3 entrances to this room. You gotta hit the switch here to blow open the door, and then you have to use the other entrances to then give it the wing shoes so you can jump down, and then also to get light. So it gets light, and then we have the wing shoes. Gotta pick up some baseballs here for our good friend Joe. And then we'll pick up probably the strongest weapon in the game overall, because it can't miss, would be the cleats. It hits everything on the screen, making it a very powerful tool. So So you gotta go all the way up to there to the top. So we have Mines. Mines is gonna go through, get the rod, and then he's going through and he's making it through the room with the balls. So you notice that ZeroCounts didn't kill the little Omnimice here, so he's gonna switch after he gets them low and cleats them. In this room full of the mummies, the cleats actually work magic here because they hit every enemy. So you're gonna notice he's gonna go through here. He's gonna hit all the enemies. And what happened here is 2 of those mummies got on top of each other, and so the cleat actually hit one of those enemies twice, which really ruined Zero's strategy right there. Alright, so we're here on Joe, our little Mac here. And Mines is going through the green bowling ball room and makes it through without dying. Very good. ZeroCounts getting really good with the really good Joe there. Very good Joe. Joe is actually only damageable by the baseballs. So if you miss the baseballs, you're not gonna kill Joe. And if you mess up the timing on the baseballs, you will also not kill Joe. So I have beaten Joe in my runs and had one baseball to spare, and it's terrifying. So we're gonna have Mines go up here, pick up the hearts from the pencil room, and move on, because now he's gonna get another set of hearts here. And this will then allow him, but he's gonna have to jump over this and then keep going. So now he's got his shooting star back, and that's very important. Forward. Oh, mine's getting kind of scary here. Red bowling ball really wants that kiss. So in chapter 7 here, where Zero went, we had a secret passage on that side to get going. Zero's going, and we get probably most people's favorite weapons in what I call the throwing stars. And they actually, when you throw them, you can press the damage weapon and get the damage again on them, like the swing on them, and it breaks them apart and they shoot out. I always think that I have to kill these Gatflies. I don't know why, so it's one of those things here. And those 2 flies are the only 2 that needed to go down here. So this room is where these weapons particularly shine normally. If they like to line up together, you can kill both sets in 2 throws, which is very helpful. We're going to come into what a lot of people will probably find some of the most intimidating, especially as an early runner. And Mines is now about to finish his chapter. If we can get our salutes in the chat for Mines going through his chapter 5 dungeon. So we have the clay doll here, though. And Zero's going to get really close to the clay doll. And the thing about the clay doll is every time it moves a block towards Mike and it sees him, every movement it has to do an attack, and it does the spin and shoots out the blast. So you can actually get a lot of hits there while it's spinning and jump over it and keep going. So it's actually a very hard enemy at first to learn, but when you get used to the clay dolls, they become a much easier enemy, less terrifying than probably first thoughts on most people's ends. But if they do hit you with a physical contact, you are dead. I think it's 11 hearts or 12 hearts. It's pretty much death at this point. So these enemies that are on Zero's count screen right now can only be damaged once they are in their full physical form. So we have to kind of let them hit a wall and they turn fully physical. ZeroCounts making quick work out of them, the mummies, and then we have more mummies here, but they're actually completely avoidable. There's a secret exit. Hooray! Alright. So going into probably one of the harder rooms with the clay dolls is the double clay dolls. And ZeroCounts is going for the quick kill. Ooh, and this is going very well. So he gets onto the frame with them, so once it saw him, it had to do its attack. And Zero did a quick set of buffering to kill the first one, turn, and do the same thing to the second one. So we're gonna get our main boss here. It's these twin heads. And actually, the easiest way to kill him is with the shurikens here, because you can hit both of them at once. But it is actually possible to jump over there and hit them one at a time with the yo-yo. Not necessarily the easiest strategy with the fire rolling back and forth, but if you were for some reason to run out of your shurikens, it is a means of getting it going to have to still kill them even without those. Not quite like Joe, where you just have nothing to kill them with. So Mines is now making his way towards trying to find Dr. Jones. And Zero has just now completed his dungeon. So, and the dungeon Mines is about to actually go into is frame perfect. So let's see if he can pull this off. It's very hard. I know Bug Doctor here can do this with his eyes closed if he's around. Always. Eyes closed dungeon right here. So Mines gets the first part done. Nice, frame perfect. Mines gets the second part done. Just one more. It's completely dark. Completed. Hardest dungeon in the game. ZeroCounts is talking to our uncle here, and our uncle's like, we need you to go up and fight the aliens, and I'm not going to help you. And we're like, well, that's really cool. Thanks. So, Mines walked into the first dungeon, probably thinking of Dungeon 2 here, where you would need to use the secret exit. And Mines is going through, getting both of these hearts. These are both very important hearts. Zero entering 7-1, probably one of the harder dungeons in the game. Is he gonna go and take the hard strengths here? He is. He's gonna take the bridge. No Vitamin X in this run. Ooh, he gets a good buffer to make sure he doesn't get hit. So we have Mines going through the Octot room right now, and Zero going through the choke. This choke is very scary, but all the robots are pretty much behaving. That's a really good choke so far. Let's see how the riders go. Oh! The riders actually behaved super well. Going into our first mini boss fight here with the fat bots jumping right on the wing boots, so that way you don't have to worry about it. The fat bots are sticking closer to the bottom of the screen. Not normally their favorite position to be in. They're eluding Zero. We have Mines over here on Turboss. He's gonna open up the wing boots. Go ahead and grab the wing boots and just wait for Turboss to take his time to come down whenever he chooses. Really long, maze-like hallways here in Chapter 7 for ZeroCounts. So Turboss going down on Mine's screen after 3 cycles there. So good that we got him down and we're moving on. Really? Maze-like hallways. Alright, so Zero now going to be moving on to 7-2. Another notoriously hard dungeon. So Zero actually doesn't need to grab all the hearts here. These hearts are here for in case at this point you didn't have enough hearts to activate the supernova, which we just got. So on Zero's screen, we're going to see our first the second glimpse of the ray gun. And we're going to see if our friend coming up here named Jeff really decides he wants to behave. So here's Jeff. And Jeff behaved. Almost didn't, but he did. He almost came in for a hug. So instead of using the supernova here, the ray gun actually can shoot faster and get the attacks off faster than the supernova. So it can really do a lot of damage here for the buffering on the ray gun. Oh, and ZeroCounts almost gets the perfect cycle on the robots, but the far right robot just playing a little trick on him. Oh, ZeroCounts not taking the Vitamin X here. Gonna just buffer his way through. Gonna brute force, knowing that he still has enough for the Supernova. Back a little bit behind, there was actually what we call the shield gun, or the wide gun. And the wide gun is very, very powerful. It takes up three tiles wide, one in front and one on each of the sides, and does pretty much the most damage in the game. We're going to see it right here, and we're going to be seeing it on the mini-boss. And it's going to do a lot of damage very quickly, and you can actually use it on that room that Zero was just in if you went and picked it up. And Zero gets the quick kill on the big fat bot there. Ooh, Mines gets a good Joe fight there, and we move forward. Ooh, Zero takes a hit from the green robot. Good thing here, though, is we get lots of HP in here, so we're not really too afraid of losing our Supernova here. So you're going to see these little red tiles on the ground, and Zero's going to walk over them. Normally those do damage to you, but if you are on the right frame when they switch, they actually don't do damage to you. Ooh. Zero almost had a really good ostrich boss there, the ostrich bot. But it jumped forward, kind of getting him a little bit, but then he got it right back in the end. So that was a really good 7-2. Really good 7-2. Mine's moving into 6-2 here. And he's trying to find the switch here to activate it. There we go. So that way he can open the door. Asteroid was being a jerk there to ZeroCounts for sure. So we're going to be seeing here in chat, we have Zoda coming up. Please type in chat how many hands you think ZeroCounts will get here. I will say 2. 2 hands. We always hope for 0. We'll see if there's anyone who thinks that he could get really unlucky and get more than 2. Because a while ago we actually found, just like way back in Chapter 3 on those the Frappas or the Kappas, we had that where you were walking down, increase the RNG, and ooh, Mines takes a death in the snake room. So he's going to be going back towards the middle here, going towards everything back at the checkpoint. Alright, so back in the snake room here for him. Jump over. Oh, and we got... Oh, and we take another death. We got hit by the ball again. Getting the timing on the release of those shurikens can actually be a little weird, because sometimes when you press it in that standard, it will go up one more tile than you think. And then you'll just completely miss it, and it will just throw off your whole groove. So ZeroCounts going to be moving on here to the end. Going to be fighting the big baddie. A smart approach there from Mines is instead of activating the mine there, he went out of his way to go to the side before activating it, throwing the shuriken, and it still killed both of them, so he didn't have to worry about that coming back to him. So we got Zoda here, and Zoda's talking in our minds. So what does Mike do? He shoves bananas right in his ears to stop Zoda from being able to talk to him. Oh, these guys are being mean to Mines a little bit, running them down. But we made it through. So the downside to chapter 8 here is you actually only spawn. We got 1 hand. You spawn with 3 hearts. You actually don't keep your full HP. Two hands. Zoda out here trying to be a jerk. 3 hands. Zoda out here just Just stealing time. So another thing is on this boss right here, the Zoda head Zoda's head can only take 1 damage per time he comes out, and it takes 4 hits, so you can't actually deal more damage to Zoda's head at this point in time to move through that fight faster. So we got 3 hands. If you guess 3 hands, you're the lucky winner of guessing 3 hands. Nice. So in this dungeon, we're actually going to see the real power of the laser here, the ray gun. The ray gun is very, very strong, and it looks like Mines is going back here. Ooh, Zero gets a good spawn where the robot jumps over you. So Zero's gonna be moving on here. So it looks like Mine's got a game over here in 6-2. Zero gets a lucky star. That star makes it so no more of those little mines that get shot at you can come out. So he gets a 1 cycle. So he's gonna be moving forward. We could see ZeroCounts really go for an aggressive Zoda here if he gets it, like if he wanted to. But I think we're gonna see him play it pretty safe. Even more so with Zoda just not behaving. Zoda, you gotta move, buddy. Zoda, what are you doing, man? So every time Zoda jumps onto one of these, you're gonna see we're gonna do 1 hit with a buffer, so we're gonna get 2 hits. And Zoda can move around, and he's a very wide hitbox, and he actually goes very fast, so he's very, very scary. So we have ZeroCounts as done. And ZeroCounts actually gets the... ZeroCounts actually got the ending here. Right now, where since Zoda didn't spawn anything, he got a glitched ending which he didn't have to run, which is why we end time right on Zoda's death, is because you can get that timing where Zoda then takes you and you warp to the end of the credits. Some of the best credits in any NES game for sure. They're so good with all these nice pictures. Okay. So at that point, Mines is going to be moving forward here through Chapter 6-2, and we have Zero. So it looks like we have another race that will be going through, that will be starting up on this channel. If you wish to support Mines and his endeavor of going through, please walk over to Mines' Twitch channel and go over there and give him some support as he finishes up this race. And I think I was just joined by ZeroCounts here. How's it going, ZeroCounts?
Good.
That race was very... You had a really good run there, actually. It went really, really well for you.
I was on PB pace almost the entire time.
Yeah. It went really... except for Zoda decided to be a jerk and just never show up.
Well, yeah, and honestly, like, he could have... I mean, at the very end, he kind of set me up to go ham on him, but I was like, do I go ham and possibly lose the entire run? Or do I try to go for the PB, or do I play it safe and finish the race? I opted to play it a little safe.
So just a reminder, everyone, if you want to support Mines in his way of completing the run, if he's going to complete here, please go over to his Twitch chat and give him some encouragement here as he goes to finish up this race.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, it was a great race here. Going through, everything went really well. GG's to both racers. It was a really good race here. And so at that point, is there anything you'd want to say, ZeroCounts, at the end here?
Nah, it was fun. GG's to everybody. Thanks for the commentary, Nate.
Yeah, no problem. And we'll be back with another race later on one of the other channels. Again, with ZeroCounts later in the day, and we have another StarTropics race going on at some point with Bug Doctor also, and Bug Doctor and is it Mines also?
Yeah. Woohoo!
So Mines will be back for another race with Bug Doctor. All over the place. All right, so here we go. So I'm going to be signing off here. I'm going to say goodbye to everyone, and everyone have a great day and get ready for the next race that shows up.
Later, folks.